The only reason why you may be watching this video is because you're interested in a mental health, spirituality, mindfulness nerd work on his life's work. I have what I call the practice, and it is made up of 7 different categories. This looks like a lot more, obviously, but mindfulness, hard stuff, contentment, connection, perception, foundations, and spirituality. These are the categories or things I think that are most important to work on, and I have a database here that organizes all my thoughts and whatnot. And I basically have had some insights recently and some updates that I want to make to this. It's a kind of living, breathing framework. And this is the type of shit that I usually just do in the dark. I don't record it, but I don't know. Maybe someone will get something out of this and might as well just put it out there. So I made a document using Claude AI to kind of highlight all of the changes that are going to be made in this video. A lot of subcategory updates. So like for instance, contentment. This is a category, being content, to be a little bit happier in life or to enjoy life more. The first subcategory is something that I call the feel good fundamentals, but that's going to be getting an overhaul. We're going to be changing the name of that to energy, and I'll get into the reasons why. I don't even see where that is right now. Where the shit is it? Hold on. It's in here somewhere. It's here. Trust me. Ah, there we are. See? Anyway. Excuse me. I'm going to be going down the list. We're just going to be going through all the shits. And here we are. So, let's start off with the first. With these 7 categories that I have, they all work on a different part of our life. And the previous order was mindfulness, hard stuff, contentment, perception, connection, foundations, and spirituality. We're going to change that. We're moving mindfulness to number 3, hard stuff to 4. We're moving perception to 1. Now, I came up with an analogy within perception category that is the control room. And we are all in our own little control room that we might not be aware of. And you are the captain of that control room. There are controls, there are things you can do in your life to change your perception or what you see out of your window, of your perception of reality. And so this category sets the stage of understanding that it is up to you to know that you are the captain of your ship, and through the things that you focus on and where you put your attention helps alter, change your reality, your experience, and your perception of life, whether that be for good or bad. And it is up to you. So this kind of sets the foundation of basically you're the captain, and that you can control and work on shit to make your life the way you want it. So that's a good first. I think it was 4, but I think that deserves a number 1 because this affects or can be used. That analogy can be used throughout the rest of the categories. So that's why we're going to put perception at 1. So right now, I want to number it because as you can see, I have other views in this database that are not necessarily a category of the practice. So let's first just start numbering shit. So let's do perception is numero 1. And then let's just do the rest of the order while we're at it. So what's number 2 now? Yes, foundations. Foundations was at number 6, and honestly, it was there because I didn't have a good spot for it. At least I didn't think. Wait, did I put the number at the front or the back? The front, okay. So this is going to go to 2. So foundations is basically everything, all the shit that we know is good for us. Nothing fancy here. But this is about, diet, exercise, apparently about using marijuana. It's basically my category that encapsulates things with the body and mind, whether that be exercise, sleep, diet, also doing with using your time wisely, organizing yourself, a lot of different things. And we'll go into that in much detail on the channel. So number 3 is mindfulness. The previous number 1, mindfulness, in my opinion, it's like the most important thing. But that said, I think perception paves the way of understanding that you can kind of control your own mental ship. And then foundations, I mean, if you ain't sleeping good, eating good, like eat healthy, or exercising, in my opinion, it's hard to do the other stuff. So that's why I put foundations at number 2. And then after that, like I said, mindfulness, super important. It literally is the skill of controlling where you put your attention in life. I mean, your attention is always on something, and people don't know that we have attention skills that we can build to direct our attention to things that matter most and to things that you might not be previously aware of. So at number 3, hard stuff. Number 4, this is dealing with all the hard shit in life. Everyone's favorite. Anxiety, death, change, sickness, anxiety, suffering, all the things we don't necessarily like, but they're going to be there. An important category. Number 5 is connection. I wrestled with whether putting connection or contentment, like which one in front of the other. Connection is dealing with relationships, and the categories here are relationship with yourself, how you relate to yourself, with others, with humanity, which is kind of weird, but like society, groups of people as a whole, history, evolutionary psychology of how our brains and what makes humans tick and why we've become the way that we are. I think it's important to learn about the history of the human species to know, what makes a person anxious and why do we get anxious and why is it that we care what other people think. And a lot of that shit is rooted in evolutionary biology. There's a reason a lot of times of the way of why we are the way that we are. So that was the humanity subcategory. And then underneath that is, what is underneath that? It's like the greater whole connection to, then we look bigger. Past humanity, we look at connection to nature, to space, and to everything that makes everything connected into one ecosystem of the universe, or at any level, really. This is all the way from the atmosphere in the sky to space in the universe. Anyway, number 6 is contentment. Once you kind of have working relationships with yourself and with others and have a better sense of belonging, then we can really get into contentment, how to feel good with less, how to be happy with what you have rather than with what you lack. A very important thing. And then the last one, spirituality. It is of my spiritual belief, all religions can be used to get to the same beautiful mountaintop. Anyone can be used correctly, incorrectly. And we go into the nature of consciousness, ego, near-death experiences, psychedelics, all the different religions, enlightenment, Jesus, anything that has ever had to do with anything spirituality is covered here. Now, we have our 7 categories, and even still, looks like putting the numbers doesn't move them. So let's move these to the top because that makes much more sense. So we're going to move these to the top. The other things that are not numbered, that's just shit for me. We'll get there. Cool. Now that we have the order, I didn't do the hyphens all the same, but who cares? Next, yes. So back to perception. Now we're going to change these subcategories a bit. So before, I had the 4 subcategories of perception: know the window, see the window, clean the window, expand the window. Sounds like taste the rainbow from the damn Skittles. Hate Skittles. So that previous four categories, know the window meant to understand that you have what's called mental and emotional conditioning, that you have a window of how you view and interact with the world, and that's based on, your inherent personality, your parents, your culture, the time in history that you live, your experiences, etc. That kind of makes up your conditioning, which then creates the window of how you view reality or the world. See the window is just that, becoming aware of your patterns and how you see the world. We often think that just the way we see the world is how the world is, and that's part of this perception category, is understanding that, what you have or what you've experienced, the way that you are, creates your reality. And right there, the see the window means to become familiar with your own patterns and the way you individually interpret the world. And so this is all about becoming aware of who you are, the idiosyncrasies that you have, the mental habits that you have, the emotions that you tend to have, the way you react to things, that sort of thing. All right, hold on. I have to take a call. Whoops. 1 second. I'm going to pause it. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. So I think I was explaining the see the window. See the window. Yeah, we already talked about that. So clean the window would be like kind of changing your patterns that you you notice, and just change. It's change. It's learning how to use habits, how repetition can change your neural pathways in your body, change anything you want. Expand the window. See, this is where the analogy got very labored, difficult, where expand the window is like to expand your horizon and see other people's viewpoints. But it kind of gets confusing because the window, it's like, well, is it your window of your own reality, or you're expanding it to see other window? It just doesn't work. So for expand the window, we changed it because now we have this whole control room analogy. Stepping out of your control room kind of correlates to seeing other people's perspective. Captain of the control room gives you like an agency. You are the captain. This gives you the responsibility and the choice. This is why I put the notes here. This is helpful. Yeah, the old thing tried to show your own filtered reality and help you see others, and the same metaphor didn't hold cleanly. The control room solves it spatially. Most people are pressed up against the out. Yes, that's another thing. The idea that most people don't even know that they're in a control room. They think that this is just the way that I am. And this analogy kind of helps you see that you have controls, that you can control the way, to a degree, how you see and interact and view the world and your own life. And then, of course, changing the controls or using them. I haven't really worked that out yet, but the idea that, you can change. It's basically the same shit, just a different metaphor. And I think it works much more nicely. And that's the categories or subcategories that we are going to change. So, I still had it as programming. Yeah, I've been playing with this analogy. So it looks like I had expand the window, rewrite the code, see program through window. I mean, my goodness, I had all this kind of shit. So we're going to use AI here to help us change it. So anything that has the programming. Maybe I can talk into it too. Anything that has the know the programming subcategory under the perception category, change that to the subcategory called captain of the control room. Let's see how that works. It might have been easier just to highlight it, do it myself. Let's see. Oh my God. Any day now. Well, this is ridiculous. All right. Well, dude, it's taking forever. All right. So we'll just keep moving on while it's messing around. You get the idea of the change. I'll make the change happen. Oh, it's updating the. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That is good. Cool. All right. I'm just kidding. We're going to keep going. That was awesome. All right. Let's do next one. So now. See program through window, expand the window, taste the rainbow. All right, so now we're going to do see program through window. Oh, damn, and I have patience and patience right there. See, this is why we practice it. I'm impatient. All right, next. Next, change everything in the perception category that has the subcategory see program through. I'm stupid. This is literally two things. I'm going to create it right now. See program through window. Let's delete that bad boy. Now we're just going to rename it. Oh, dude, I can just rename each one. I'm an idiot. All right, so know the controls. Yeah, dude, if I just rename it, I don't have to have AI do it. Whoops. So, yeah. So then right here, rewrite the code. We'll change that to change the controls. Bada bing, bada boom. And then step out. This is the expand the window. It's a little bit of a mouthful. Might change it. Did it do it? Yeah, cool. All right. Very good. Next, we are going over foundations. That just moved to number 2 from number 6. This is the stuff where, with the control ship analogy, if your ship isn't, properly fueled and working and regulated, maintained, then it ain't going to go very far. And you're not going to be able to change your controls, see new things, change your version of reality if you don't do the basics for this old meat suit we're in. All right, so for mindfulness, while it moved to number 3, we did that. The other thing we want to do is consolidate the different subcategories. Before I had foundations of mindfulness, the 3 skills, understanding the mind, applying mindfulness skills, formal practice, and informal practice. And while all of these had their place, it's just a lot. And I think it makes it easier for a person to come into knowing that there's just 3 subcategories and there's just more information in each rather than there just being so much. To me, this is just overwhelming. Yeah, it feels like a syllabus. 3 feels like a practice. The goal is approachability, not comprehensiveness. The foundations of mindfulness and the 3 skills were always 2 sides of the same coin. So foundations of mindfulness was kind of just understanding, like what I already said, that you're placing your attention on something. And it was just kind of getting an understanding of what's called interoception, the ability to place your attention inwards. Like if you were to close your eyes right now or open them, you would notice that you can feel into your body a bit easier when your eyes are closed because you are not given that the stimulation or the input, the visual input, and so you have more attention or brain power available to direct more inwardly. That's an example. And then if you were to look outward, that's exteroception. So at any time, you're either placing your attention inwardly, interoception, or outwardly, exteroception. And that was kind of like the foundation of mindfulness. More stuff in there, but the idea was basically understanding that you have attention. Now, the 3 skills, I don't want to get too much into detail, but there's 3 skills involved with it. So instead of separating it, just put it together. Show them what the attention is and give them the 3 skills of attention. Combine it. Don't make it any more complicated. So with that, we're going to update the... Okay, so let's do this. Let's just highlight these bad boys. So foundations, we're going to change the subcategory here to 3 skills, and then we're just going to rename 3 skills. Boom. Money. And then from 3 skills, we will... Does it show on the list? It sure does. We're going to rename it to attention skills. Voila. Magic. Dope. All right. Next. So now we have those merged. Understanding the mind. We're going to update that to the mind itself. And we merged that with applied mindfulness skills. So what was the difference there? Understand the mind and the playing role, naturally paired. Yes. So understanding the mind was basically understanding thoughts and emotions, sensations, all of the input that you can feel, whether that be internally or externally, mainly internally, whether that be your emotions, your thoughts, your sensations. And then the idea was, once we have a handle on what thoughts are and how thoughts relate to emotions and how they feed on each other, and we kind of get this basic understanding, because no one ever teaches you that. No one ever teaches you that when you are in a deep or a strong emotion, that you have thoughts of that same emotional frequency. When you're pissed off, you tend to have angry thoughts, that kind of thing. So the idea was to understand these anatomy, or so to speak, of the different parts of your mind. And then the applied mindfulness skills is taking the different things you learned about the mind, the thoughts, the emotions, and sensations, and the 3 skills. It was like using the 3 skills on those things. So instead of separating it out and, again, being so verbose, combine the shit. Make it one thing. When you're talking about thoughts, talk about how those attention skills are applied there. So once again, simplifying, making it more digestible. At least that's what I think, to the person. So we are going to... Yeah, let's update one and then change the other. So we will change this applied mindfulness skills to edit property, edit subcategory, delete that, and change it to understanding, right? And then we'll change that, understanding mind and body, and then we'll update that value. So now understanding mind and body will become the mind. And so now, once again, we have simplified a category. So we have attention skills, we have the mind, and the rest was the practices stuff. So once again, too broken up, where we have informal practice, which is basic. So formal practice, let's start there. Formal practice is like meditation, like breath work, yoga, walking, practicing the skills of mindfulness intentionally, like sitting down to do them. Informal practice is taking the skills that you have learned, and once you do it enough, it just becomes almost a habit in your everyday life. So informal practice is using the skills you learn in formal throughout life. But let's just call it practice. Let's combine the shits, not make it any more complicated. So let's change this to formal. See, that's the problem, is that some of these... So we'll remove that. And then... Oh, damn it. I got rid of it. And then we will change the subcategory to formal. Let's delete that one. It's no longer needed. And I'll probably need to do that. Go back and delete. Yes, bitch. And then add that. And then change that. Practice. kill. All right, so now we have our 3 categories, main categories, and these are just notes I've written down and then haven't truly organized or edited yet, but that's for another time. All right, cool. So now let's move on. More consolidation in hard stuff, more category consolidation. So before I had everyday mind challenges. This is like, yes, right. So mind challenges was the internal experience. Oh, I'm stretching. I'm on a leather seat, and I moved, and my bare leg skin was on the seat, and I moved too hard, and it kind of pulled it. Oh, it's like those old school booths at a restaurant. So, everyday mind challenges and problems in life situations. These are 2 sides of the same coin. The problems in life situations are what they say. The problems, the shit we have to deal with in life, whatever that may be. Your job, getting sick, your dog getting sick, you lose something bad happens externally. This is the internal state, often reacting to the problems of life situations. So this is the anxiety, the worry, the suffering that comes along with the situations that life gives. Now, there doesn't always have to necessarily be a problem or a life situation to make your mind anxious or worry. And you might not always worry about a problem or life situation. It's just that we're combining them because they go together. Your internal world of how you view the external situations of life. No longer separating, putting them together. And so with that, I also had a subcategory of change and impermanence, talking about death. You see, obviously, I go deep into death often. I think it's an important thing for human beings to contemplate often, to not take life for granted, to also remember that none of this shit is going to last very long. But that said, this is something I would put into a problem or a life situation. This is a situation of life that we must deal with. So we're going to just kind of, instead of everything so separate, put it into mind and life challenges. So let's do that. So we'll change it to, what am I doing? Subcategory. But I haven't changed the other one yet. So let's just change it to life situations, and then we'll rename that. So wabam, and then we'll rename problems in life situations. Well, first of all, we can remove the change in impermanence subcategory. We no longer need you. Take care. Good riddance. And then we will update this fine feller to mind and life challenges. Dope. Change these 2. And I need more. That's another thing. I don't just have 2 here. These I migrated my notes from, not even migrated. I started putting notes into Notion about a year ago, and a lot of my content is in OneNote, and I just haven't migrated that over, which is why there's like only 2 things here, because you might be like, why does he have a subcategory if he only has 2 things? It's just on anxiety. Now, trust me, there's a lot more shit. It's just not correctly in here. I did it individually. Whoops. Cool. And then, the first category, life as suffering. This is just normalizing it, that if you're a human being on this earth, you're going to have tough times. You're going to have things that bother you, and then you croak and die, and then that's the end of it. So enjoy. The last one, so we combine, so I had the subcategory of impermanence of body, which is the aging and sickness and all that. Combining all that, all one. Good. And then the last one, intentional suffering. This is a good one. This is a lot of things you might hear now. But I think it's important. Intentional suffering, doing hard things on purpose because life, modern life, while it still gives you problems, can be so convenient that we do get a little soft. If you were to compare a person now versus a person probably 5,000 years ago, there's probably a massive difference in the level of resilience and overall mental toughness. And it's because life has become a lot more cushy, and it makes us more vulnerable to the mind and life challenges. So these things are about like just doing difficult things so that when challenges of life do come up, we are not as thrown around by them. An important thing to learn, in my opinion. Next, connection. Do the changes. Connection. All right. So connect. Yeah. Okay. So basically, self, others, humanity, greater whole. Kind of like a nesting doll, in and out, like getting bigger each time. Now, I did have a other category, subcategory, called disidentified with self, and it actually looks like I might have already updated this. Basically, I had all these separate concepts for self. Just working on your healthy and pattern self, like learning to just be kinder to yourself, to treat yourself with respect, to learn your patterns, kind of related to perception. And then the disidentified self was going a little bit deeper, learning to disidentify with your thoughts, not taking yourself so personally, and that sort of thing. But it's still grouped into self, so let's not separate it. Let's put it all together. Just combine things. God damn it. Hold on. I'm trying to just move these up. Okay, so you can't just do that. So I thought you could. So let's grab highlighting. Use the hand. There we are. When in doubt, use your hand. Wink, wink. Bad joke. All right. Others, humanity, like I said. I have a lot. Why? I have way more shit than that. I don't understand. I'll have to figure that out. All my notes on evolutionary biology and history and all these things. Okay. All right, moving on. I think that was it for connection. Self, others, community, greater whole. Yep. Cool. Contentment, number 6. All right, so this is actually where it started, or where this whole restructuring insights kind of began. This was the first one, is what I'm trying to say. Feel good fundamentals. Trying to think how to word it. Basically, the world is obsessed with being happy. You can't be happy all the time. It's just one singular emotion. If you did try to be happy all the time, you would need more of it to feel the same level, just like a drug. You need more of that drug to get that same high. So I don't like using the word happiness. I like contentment, being content with what is. Now, it doesn't mean you're passive, but it means you're okay with the present moment. And with that, feel good fundamentals, not only was it a mouthful, but it includes things that make you feel good, whether that be just through exercise, being aware of your negative thoughts and replacing it with positive thoughts, doing cold baths, doing gratitude practices, doing the different things that can make you feel better. Because once you're in a better mood, you tend to feel better, surprise. So that was the first part. And it makes the rest of this a lot easier. It makes, then we go into the halving cycle, which is the spectrum of wanting things or what you already have, and that's gratitude. So there's definitely things that overlap, but I think this is important, especially in today's culture, the halving cycle, where we get so caught up in what everyone else has, social media, Makes you feel like you're doing without the damn phone. So this is an important thing. But basically, the feel-good fundamentals, back to that. The idea of just getting into a good state, feeling good, and when you're in that state, you feel better. So a better word for that, because this encapsulates only what is good, feel good. But it's really about energy. Whether that be good or bad, that determines how you feel. So a better word for it is energy, and I'm trying, my God. Actually, I don't need to update anything. I just need to change the text of it. Yeah, so the felt sense of being resourced, alive, and regulated. This is just what makes a human being feel okay, is your energy. And then, of course, having meaning, like a sense of purpose. And then I do have connection. Yes, that is another category, but with humans, we need a sense of belonging. So it would be wrong to not mention at least that your level of contentment or feeling good is dealing with other humans. All right, cool. So energy, having cycle, meaning, and then where, and then connection. Yeah, I don't really have anything here for connection because that's its own category, but it is something, a part of contentment. Lastly, spirituality. As you can imagine, I had too many subcategories. Dissolving the false self, the true self. These are concepts that are interwoven in part of the paths and traditions. Now, paths and traditions are all that. It is all the religions, Christianity, Islam, Sufism, Buddhism, Hinduism, all of that teaches and talks Buddhism. They talk about dissolving the false sense of self and how there's a deeper part of you that a lot of us are not accessing or maybe as connected with as we should, connected to a deeper sense of ourselves. And instead of bringing it out, put it in, it's implied in here. So we're going to take all of these. Now, can I edit? Because they have different categories. Let's see. And we're just going to lump those into the all right, these. Hold on. Now I need to get rid of the true self. Oops. There we are. Removing the true self subcategory. And then obliterating false and true self. Anytime I see that, I'm like, oh shit, do I want to delete it? Yeah, it's fine. And there you have it. I guess I didn't explain what spirituality was about. The big questions. Who am I? Why are we here? What is all this? All the things that kind of open the door, get you curious about the topic of spirituality, religion, all those sorts of things. And then we go into the different paths. And that's my personal belief that, and it's not just me, but it's a belief that all religions, all traditions, if used wisely, correctly, can take you up the same mountain path to God, to truth, to wisdom. And that's called perennial philosophy. The single universal divine reality lies at the core of all major world religions and traditions, and that is what I like to teach, and that is why I include all religions in my spirituality category. And we also go into, glimpses of spirit, the last little category. So that was, paths and traditions. It's the perennial philosophy. Exploring all religions. I believe that you can learn a lot from each one. Yeah. And then the last thing, glimpses of spirit, is the idea of psychedelics, near-death experiences, all those like unexplainable miracles or things that happen in different states of consciousness and the stories that people tell, and kind of removes the idea that, or it's like something's going on. Something is happening, that we're a part of something bigger that we don't fully understand, at least not yet in this form. So there you have it. That was our updating thing. Obviously, this is a lot of shit, and I just enjoy it. I don't know what else to tell you. I love learning the different categories I've kind of come up with over the years, and obviously none of the shit that's in any of these categories is my own. I've learned it all from others. I just kind of, the only thing I can take credit, if you want to even call it that, is just building the map. Other than that, I think that if you worked on all of these things or put focus or energy into these different things, into these controls, as the captain of your ship, it could make for a pretty decent life, whatever the circumstances that you are given. And learning to let go of the things that you can't control. A lot of life is out of our control. And that in and of itself is scary to the human mind. Just like all the minds before us. The billions of people that have already lived, felt fear, worried, struggled, and now they're gone without a care in the world, at least in the form that they were in, you know. And I guess that was the main topic of this video, was that restructuring of the practice, but there was another thing that I wanted to go into, and that was something that I was looking at yesterday. And it was kind of understanding the through point of this practice. So I did a video yesterday, on speakers and getting just becoming a better speaker, watching other speakers. You can find that on the channel. But I was talking to Claude. Yeah, I talk to AI. It's a problem. But we were going back and forth about being a speaker and being authentic to myself. We were talking about how to be a person that people want to listen to, you have to be passionate about whatever it is you're talking about. And I like to talk about a lot of different things, clearly, as you can see. And it's saying that, like, what makes you passionate? What in one or two sentences kind of sums up you and what you care about? And I thought of the practice, this stuff that I showed you. Everything that I talk about on this channel can be some way mapped to this practice, and I don't know what it is. I'm just drawn to this map I've created, regardless of the topic. And he was saying, have a sentence or two that kind of sums up what you're about and what your passion is. And I think it could be something like this: you have the power to choose how you see and relate to everything in your life, the good and the bad. And the practice is how you develop that power. So this is for me and my growth in learning how I want to continue to grow as a speaker, to continue to push out my content, or whatever you want to call it. And it's kind of forming, I don't like the way I'll use the word anyway, identity of sorts. I don't like using the word identity because that implies an ego, a false sense of self. But at the same time, that is what this is about, is the practice. That's what I feel like I've been called to do, whether that be just a thought that's been stuck in my head and I just have on repeat or not. It is what I feel to be true, at least for now. So I'm going to, I'll share this screen. Now this is kind of where I get my ideas well, some of the ideas of what to record. I have 1,000 of them. Things I haven't done yet. These are just on deck. These are things I just have thought of in the last couple weeks to write about. I'm all over the place. And then the idea backlog. This is the big database of all the different categories of just different ideas that I've had and things I've already done and not done. Anyway. So this is kind of like the, what do we want to call it? The practice persona. The identity of speaking and the channel. Identity of the practice, the channel, and speaking. I don't know. So this is our through line. This is the through line where regardless... Ah, shit, I'm showing all my stuff. Hold on. Can I speak into this? I can just... Nah, that's fine. Regardless of what I'm talking about, this is where the passion... Damn, I really don't need to do a full screen on this, do I? So let's change. Nope. Ah, there we are. All right. I'm getting used to it. I just created these 3 different scenes. Look, I got this one. And then so I'm just practicing. I'm still learning. So this is kind of like the through line, the overall kind of message of this channel that I have here. I mean, regardless of what like I said, regardless of what I'm talking, yeah, that's what I was writing. Regardless of what I'm talking about, this is where my passion and conviction comes from. This idea. This is my through line. This is the driving force of everything I talk about. Cool. Now that said, this is the last little cutesy thing that doesn't really fucking matter, is I want to have a little logo. I think it'd be dope. I've had an idea of a logo for a while and I just haven't built it out, and it's based on these 7 categories. So I'm curious if Claude can do that. Can you make, hold on, this is actually my speaking cheat sheet. Let's go here. Can you make images? Oh, it's right here. I see it. Ah. Oh, it's a different thing. Whoa. What do we have here? Oh, don't tell me it broke. Looking at the console logs. Yeah, shit's broken, I think. So I'm a software developer. Hold on, I'll show you what I'm seeing. Look, these are what are called console errors. Yeah, you can see what's going on in the code a little bit. This is called the front end code, everything that the user sees. Is this really broken? Come on, guys. You gonna bust on me? Let's skip it. Oh, maybe it was just stuck on that window. What do I know? All right. Create a project. Dude, I don't know. What is this? Oh, let's just use a regular. Yeah, let's just start here. Can you make pictures? I want to create a logo for the practice where we have 7 circles all overlapping one another. And then in the middle, they're like where all the circles kind of intersect, there's one little small space in the middle. So could you design something like that where we have like kind of the 7 circles all overlapping, and it almost looks like a psychedelic kaleidoscope artsy image?
Ooh,
Whoa. I hate when it. What? No, no. Okay, it's going to build a picture. See what we're twerking with. We could have. Let's have Jim and I do this at the same time. Let's see who's better. Anthropic versus Claude. Here we go. Dude, AI is a trip. That's wild. Hmm. I don't know about that. No, so I want it to be where there's just empty space in the middle. Don't create that little white dot and circle in the middle. I want there to be, I don't know, like just clear. Just have it empty. The color idea is cool. I like this. I like how all the colors, but I want the intersection. I want all of the edges of the circle to meet in the middle. And that could be light because, or it could be white because all colors create white.
got it. So the 6 outer circles all converge to a single point in the center, creating that empty white space where all the edges meet. Let me rebuild that. Let me try that again with the right tool. Perfect.
Let's see what Google came up with. Yo! It's cool. I like it, but it's too much. It needs to be very simple, not 3D with that much detail. This is really cool, but I need this 20 times simpler. Like, I love the idea, I love the way it looks, and I love how the rings all meet in the center and converge, but I just need this way less detail and just like thin lines. Minimalistic. Like a modern logo. Trying to be like Apple. What the hell? I mean, I just like the other way. I think Google might win this. Let's see. Better. That is pretty sick. I don't know. We'll keep playing with it. I like the color scheme of this with the white in the middle. This needs to have white in the middle. And I don't like the ring look. Why are we doing rings? This is not the Olympics. All right, I don't like the ring look where each circle has 2 lines for it. Like it's a 2D image or something. It just needs to be a line. Each circle is 1 line. And then in the middle, I want it glowing white right in the dead center. So like it's like all the colors are converging. I might just give up on the Claude. Maybe it's because the other has. Whoa! It still didn't do it. See, this is the problem with AI is that. Yeah, I think you need. Okay, so I definitely think we don't need to have color here. In yeah. So make it so that we don't fill in the color. Inside each circle.
Got it.
Shut up. Y'all might think that's ugly, but that's kind of what I was going for. Well, should it have some color? Anyway, we'll keep playing with it. Something like that. Thank you all for watching, sticking around for the practice overview, and helping me design this logo. If anyone is watching this, let me know if you have any preferences or thoughts on one of the either design. But yeah. All right, y'all. Peace.